Cool, thanks for showing that, dude.
Yeah.
So if you have questions, ask this guy over here. Hey, do you want to let's just scoot over so you have a better.
It's a clean break, easily, so it just pops right back into place. I only cry for about 10 minutes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah.
When I used to work at McFarland Toys, we had like our art director. He would come by and he would just sit down in your chair and he would just like, all right, and he would just start moving stuff and it would break. And by the time he got up and left, it would just be in pieces. He'd be like, all right, get back to work. And you couldn't say anything.
Danny, are you working at Maya right now?
No, this is 3D Studio Max. Yeah, we're I think we're the only animation team in the company that uses 3D Studio Max. I think. I could be way off on that. But most of the teams use Maya.
Cool, quick follow-up question to that. He was curious, what is the total software package you use to complete, within the pipeline of what you do your daily job?
That's a good question. I mean, 90% of the work is in here. I would say then there's also like we do work in the editor as well, like our StarCraft 2 cutscene editor. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty much 3D Studio Max. What you see is what you get. So yeah, so all the effects and everything are also handled in Max. All of our physics are also handled in Max. Yep. You'll see some pretty cloth tech. Like if you play Arthas has an awesome cape that is not animated. It's all just procedurally driven, which is kind of cool. Because it would be impossible to animate that and make it look good.
So is all the modeling also done in 3ds Max on your team?
Yes, all the modeling, all the rigging, all the animation, everything. One package.
Do you know what the decision was for that? Because you always hear debate like, well, Maya is better with animation, or you hear different teams come to different decisions. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Well, a lot of it honestly has to do with our pipeline and our tools. It's so integrated into Max now that in order to switch over to Maya, it would be such a hassle, and it would negate a lot of the work that all the engineers have made for tools to help us and stuff. So it's just kind of like we've made the decision. Let's go across the board and just be Max. So we just kind of learn with it.
Yeah, I think Max is pretty much cut up too now. You can do everything in Max that you can do in Maya.
Yeah. Especially now with the new Max, because I think they're integrating Python, so Python scripting.
Those effects that I'm going to use to start, and then I'll paint over the goggles so that they feel like they're translucent and reflecting light. But for now, this is a good enough start. And then I have little reflective things on her eyes, and the effects on her on the chest piece, the thing that makes her move fast, right? I keep those separate because I know that's usually final pass stuff that I'm going to worry about later. So I usually keep that above the drawing, and then generally speaking.
I love watching you turn off layers on Tracer.
So I have a layer that I usually put over top of all my lines and everything, so I can accentuate the lines I want to keep, and I can remove the lines I don't want. Right? In this case, I kind of like some of the lines, but then some of them I kind of want them to just sort of disappear. I have my line layer, which is generally black, but then I can, if you make a clipping mask, you can change the color of the line just by drawing over top of it. Something crazy like this. See? Right. So I can affect the change of the line, which really kind of helps because with the style that I'm doing, you you can keep the line closer to the color grouping of the rest of the material. It helps when painting it so that I can, yeah, so you can see on her face the line is lighter than it is on her jacket. Make it so that it feels like it makes a little bit more sense. And then yeah, I keep everything inside a clipping mask, right, when I'm setting up. Sometimes I have everything on the clipping mask, so I have a super clean edge. But I didn't think that was all that necessary this time, so I didn't do that. So yeah, I have my under-edit line there. I could just do that.
Your Star Wars. Star Wars thing about it. So he's actually animating that guy right now.
And I just keep it sort of
Tweaking him.
it's a mask. Sort of helps with organization. Like I said, I can get rid of it anytime I need. But yeah, I don't know. It works
So
for me.
what else did you want to see? You want to look
Does that
at the
answer your question?
calendar?
He is shaking his head yes.
Yeah.
Me,
No?
I keep
Yes?
Drive.
Yes.
Okay.
I keep company and
He
see you.
indeed said that was a great answer.
So really, nothing that I go, that's you guys. Seriously. I'm interested to see that. Doesn't be interesting to see how other people play and, you know.
You might want to see
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. So that's just all the time you can go up?
yeah, it's everything.
Oh, alright. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Right, right. Internet's not like it.
Do you have a standard resolution CMYK RGB settings, or is it flex?
Are you asking like a resolution that I?
Yeah, sort of like a file setup. What's your color space, DPI, when you're set up on a file for Illustrator?
I work in RGB, and I keep this at default usually. I usually work at 300 DPI, but in this case, it's not. It's actually 72. It's just what it was. I don't know why. It doesn't. I don't know if the resolution generally matters all that much. It's really I think it ends up like, I mean, this is way too big. 86 inches by 100 inches. It really doesn't need to be that big, right? But if I resized it now, I wonder whether or not I'd have the same amount of pixels to work. Because I really only care about how close I can get before it starts becoming pixels, right? So usually, I think that's 100%. That's about where like I like to work. Because I like to make sure that things that are important that I'm going to spend time on, like the face, so that I have enough resolution to work. The resolution, like the DPI doesn't generally matter to me all that much because you can change it later. But when I'm painting it, I kind of want to make sure I have enough room to work. So it can change. I really don't think it matters all that much.
Now, when you're creating art for one of your art books, and though you're gonna have to go and have it go to print, are you thinking about the DPI there?
Oh, then I keep it at 300 DPI because when you already know the aspect ratio of the page, the resolution something has to be, it's easier to work within the constraints you have. Of course, if you need more, then you just double it, right? And then when you're done, you shrink it down by cutting the resolution in half. So usually that's what I do. It's like sometimes like the resolution on a book cover is not going to be enough for you to really kind of work out all the detail you want to put in. So I don't know. Yeah, I usually double up if it isn't enough. Unless you know the resolution, I don't think it matters unless unless you know how much DPI you're gonna need.
So the Blizzcon.
Just to let you guys know, we're at the 10-minute mark.
At 1 o'clock. Yeah, the semifinal right now. Finals, so
The next question is for JP.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you about your brush set. Are there any favorite brushes you like to use?
Yeah, there's this brush and there's I remembered my other brush, my third one. It's this one. It's just a flat brush. I use that sometimes when I want I want the edges of the lines I'm making to come out and be a little bit sharper. Lots of drawing brushes. And for the most part, I stick with those. I've got lots of other brushes that help with building like textures and stuff. But nowadays I don't use them all that much. I like cleaner, more stylized looking stuff. It just doesn't call for it as often.
Now, what about like with the Blizzcon key art?
That calls for it a lot. That is more a painting than it was than this is. It required more of the traditional Blizzard painterly look, So I needed to make sure that there's lots of effects brushes and stuff like that. Really only use them at the end. I still build all the characters pretty much the same way I'm working now with these same brushes. It's just what's comfortable for me.
So you sort of will switch your brush set depending upon the final goal.
I couldn't hear you.
I said you'll switch your brush set up depending upon the final goal.
Yeah. But usually at the end, right? Like the final pass, I like a little bit more painterly look at the end if it calls for it. It doesn't always call for it.
The next question is for Denny.
I'm looking at the animation. I have a little bit of experience with animation, but I guess my question is, at what point do you have to let things slide? with the animation. Like the one that I notice is the hair. One of them goes through the knee, and I would spend hours and hours and hours trying to animate it so it never goes through the knee. At what point do you have to just let it slide?
So it really depends. I mean, this example with the hair, I'm going to try to kind of fix it as far as going through the knee. I kind of saved these bones so I didn't animate them as part of this secondary motion. So these are more like to fix any issues. So let's see, like, if we have one going through the knee, right? So like that piece of hair is going right through the knee. So I'll just take that bone, just kind of move it up a little bit. But there are situations where you kind of just, because it's a video game, you kind of just let it slide. Like sometimes, these characters all have giant shoulder pads, right? So sometimes it's hard to do a swing overhead attack when you have giant shoulder pads. So at times you can let it slide, especially if it's like just for a frame, because no one's ever going to see it if it's a frame. The thing's in motion. You just want it to look great, and all your eye catches is the great motion, not the fact that the hair clipped through the shoulder pad. Unless the character's just standing still doing nothing and it's clipping, that's when you're actually going to notice it. But during an attack, you don't really need to worry as much. Obviously, that's kind of crazy. I'm not going to leave that, but.
I got another question for Denny.
Hi, Denny. Go Bears.
Yes.
Wind Fury turned out really great on Thrall. What are some other heroic abilities you're really looking forward to in the future of Heroes in the Storm?
Some heroic abilities? Actually, the one thing I really enjoyed about Thrall was the idea of doing combo attacks. Basically, like attacks that lead, from one to another. Right now, all of our attacks are kind of, I'm doing my standing, I attack. Doing my standing, I attack. So that we're actually, discussing like maybe we should do more, action-packed attacking, where you do a swing, you strike a pose, and then from that pose you do another attack and another attack, and it just kind of gives that like more of a fighting game kind of feel to it. So I'm hoping that definitely in the future we can do more stuff like that.
All right, as we just get ready to wrap up, I want to remind everyone the artists are going to go over to the signing table, which is directly to the left of the stage, and you can ask them additional questions or have them sign anything or any technical questions. They'll be there for approximately 30 minutes to an hour.